Welcome to the Nurture Network podcast, where motherhood meets transformation. I'm Jess Baldenhofer, certified parent coach, educator, and mom on a mission to help you move beyond overwhelm and create a deeper connection with your kids and yourself. Each episode is packed with real tools, relatable stories, and the support you deserve. Let's dive in and take another step toward the peaceful, fulfilling parenting journey you've been searching for. Hey mama, a quick pause before we dive into this week's episode. I want to invite you to something I'm really excited about. I'm co-hosting a 2-night webinar called Somatic Tools for the Calm Mom with the amazing Lorraine Mann, a psychosomatic practitioner who specializes in helping women reconnect with their bodies and regulate their nervous systems. This is for you if you're tired of losing your cool, feeling overstimulated, or walking away from tough moments with your kids thinking, that's not the mom I want to be. Night 1 is all about you. You'll learn practical body-based tools to manage stress, regulate your emotions, and come back to calm even in the chaos. Night 2 will shift the focus to your child. You'll learn how to model somatic tools and support your kids' emotional regulation in a way that builds safety, connection, and resilience. And the best part, it's only $10 for both nights. Whether you're new to somatic work or already on the journey, you'll walk away with the tools you can use immediately. The registration link is in the show notes, so go grab your spot. It starts this coming Tuesday, and I hope to see you there. All right, back to the episode. Today, I want to start with a personal story. Recently, I realized something about my own parenting, and I think it'll resonate with you. Since my son was born, I've always been working so hard to ensure that he feels confident, self-assured, empowered. And in my efforts to build his self-esteem, I was missing the spots where I was not really letting him face his frustration. So in my efforts to build his self-esteem, I kept reinforcing that he wasn't the problem in so many situations, that the challenges he was facing in school, the things that made him frustrated, overwhelmed, or upset were a result of the system. I focused a lot on teaching him that the problem wasn't him, but how the system wasn't serving his needs. And while I still sometimes stand by this message because I actually don't think this is a very child-friendly country or child-friendly world, and I think all the systems in this country especially could do better for kids. So there's a piece of that that's actually a really good lesson for him. But there was also a piece that I was missing. I wasn't focusing enough on teaching him how to handle and work through his feelings in the moment. Instead of encouraging him to process his own discomfort, I started leaning a bit too much into removing the challenge or helping him think he could escape the challenging feelings. I was trying to protect him from the very discomfort that could help him grow and also help him build a growth mindset. I realized that in my efforts to shield him from feeling bad at school, I wasn't teaching him how to work through those difficult feelings. I wasn't teaching him that it's okay to be uncomfortable sometimes, even in a place that is safe and meets his educational needs. And more importantly, I wasn't showing him that he doesn't always need to escape discomfort, but that he can face it and process it and still thrive. Now, that doesn't mean we shouldn't advocate for our children and support them when they're struggling. And I'll get more into this later, but I learned that part of my job as his mom is not just to shield him from the world, but to teach him how to walk through hard things with the confidence that he can handle them. And the truth is, sometimes that means letting him be uncomfortable without rushing to remove the challenge for him. So let's start with the combination of empathy and what it means about saving them from struggle. So many of us, especially moms, have this deep well of empathy for our kids. We feel their pain so deeply. The meltdown over the broken crayon, the sadness after being left out with friends, the frustration when they can't zip their jacket. It hurts us because we want to protect them from feeling like that. But what if, in our efforts to protect them, we're actually robbing them of something really important? We're robbing them of the chance to grow emotionally, to build resilience, and to learn how to navigate discomfort and learn how to do hard things. A lot of times we confuse empathy with saving. We feel so deeply for them, but in our rush to alleviate their pain, we miss the opportunity to teach them how to handle their pain. And this often comes up from our own stories. If we grew up in a home where our feelings weren't validated, maybe they were ignored, minimized, or even mocked, then it makes sense that your child's distress would hit something deep inside of you. You're not just reacting to their pain, you're reacting to the child inside you who never got the empathy that she needed. So you give and you try to do it differently. And that's beautiful. But there's a balance to find. Empathy doesn't mean we prevent discomfort, it means we're with them in it without taking it away. So here's a couple examples of different ages. The first one being your 2-year old is screaming because you gave them the red cup instead of the blue one. You feel your body tense, you want to fix it, swap the cups, make the screaming stop, and you want them to feel like mom heard me here that I don't like the red cup. But in that moment, what they need isn't actually a different cup. They need you to calmly hold the boundary and help them move through the disappointment. That is empathy in action. You don't want to dismiss them being upset about the cups and be like, well, that's a stupid thing to be upset about. You actually want to acknowledge how they're feeling, but it doesn't mean you need to quickly give them the other cup so that their difficult feelings go away. So here's another example. Your 10-year-old didn't get picked for the school play and comes home in tears. You might feel tempted to angrily email the teacher or suggest they skip school tomorrow. But the deeper support is saying, this really hurts. You worked hard and it's disappointing, and I'm here with you. I'm not fixing it. I'm just being present in it. Because think about that 10-year-old for a second, coming home so upset about the school play, and you run off to write the email or complain or talk to the teacher. You're not with them. You're not feeling the pain with them. You're running around trying to fix it, and they're feeling alone in their pain, even though your intention is to take their pain away, but they're sitting there without you. So here's a reflection moment for you. Take a minute to think about how you respond when your child is having a hard time. Think back to a recent example of your child getting really upset about something, big or small. Try to connect with what shows up in your body when they're upset. Do you feel tension? Do you feel panic? Do you feel guilt? Can you trace that feeling to a moment from your own childhood when no one sat with you in your pain or dismissed your pain? This isn't about blame. It's about understanding what you bring to these moments as the parent so you can shift your presence from fixer to companion. So, next, we'll talk about what we're actually teaching them when we fix everything. When we always step in to fix it, zip the coat, smooth over the friend issue, write the forgotten homework note, we're doing more than helping. We're sending a message. And sometimes it can sound like, you can't handle this. Discomfort is bad. Someone else will always make this better for you. But confidence and resilience are built through challenge, through struggle, through overcoming, not avoiding. Now, I'm not saying we should sit back and let bad things happen, but we have to recognize that discomfort isn't always dangerous. And as the adult, you can learn to determine which discomforts are good for them and which are a sign that something does need to change. Things can get a little tricky, especially in the world of gentle parenting. A lot of us come to gentle parenting because we don't want to repeat the patterns we grew up with. We want our children to feel seen, heard, and respected. And that is so powerful. That absolutely matters. And we are doing important work. But sometimes we misinterpret what that means. We think that in order for our kids to feel safe and respected, we need to remove every challenge that they face. But here's the truth. It's possible for our children to feel seen, heard, respected, and still have to do hard things. They can cry, protest, feel disappointed, and still go to school. They can express their fear and still show up to soccer practice. They can feel upset about a boundary and still live within it. Empathy doesn't mean removing every source of struggle. Empathy means sitting with them in discomfort, helping them name it, and showing them that they are strong enough to move through it. So here's a couple examples. Your 5-year-old says they don't want to go to their friend's birthday party because they're nervous. You could cancel to avoid the upset, or you can know that this is good learning for them and you can validate their feeling and tell them how understandable it is to be nervous, how you get why they're nervous. And you can still support them to go, letting them learn that they can do something that feels hard and then be proud of themselves on the other side. Your 14-year-old has a big project due tomorrow and is overwhelmed. You could help them organize their time or even stay up late finishing it for them. But what they need is your presence, your calmness, and your belief that they can do it. Maybe you sit beside them, but you don't take it over. So let's take another moment to reflect. Think to yourself, where might I be equating respect with removal of challenge? Are there moments where I avoid holding a boundary or following through on something because I fear my child will feel unloved or unheard? That's a big one for me. I don't know about you. How might I help my child feel seen and respected while still holding steady through their discomfort? Okay, so how do we do less, feel more, and model growth? Here's one more layer here, and it's a big one. Sometimes we step in not because our child can't handle something, but because we can't handle our own discomfort. We can't bear the tears, the pushback, the conflict, the idea that they might be mad at us. And so we do more. We fix, we soothe, we manage, we explain. But our job isn't to absorb all the emotion. It's to model what it looks like to feel it and still move forward. That means getting more comfortable with our own discomfort, letting our child be disappointed in us sometimes, letting them fail, letting them feel, and staying steady in ourselves as they do. This is how we raise emotionally strong kids, not by doing more, but actually by doing less with more presence. And here's something equally important: knowing when to step in. Not all hard things are worth pushing through. Sometimes the best support is helping a child know themselves well enough to recognize that something truly isn't aligned. The problem is when we're completely on that side and not balanced with knowing when to push through something. We want to teach them that quitting isn't always giving up. Sometimes it's an act of courage and clarity. So here's a couple examples. Your 17-year-old has been in a toxic friendship for a long time. They've confided in you over a while. And while you want to say, just cut them off, you pause, you help them reflect. You trust them to make the decision. You get them to check in with how they feel around that person. You don't rush in to fix the pain of letting go. You walk beside them through it. So you could tell them, cut that friend out, or, oh, just put up with that thing, because what you're trying to help them avoid is making the choice and avoiding the feeling. So another example is your 10-year-old is having a really hard time in a sport that they used to love. They're dreading practice, feeling anxious, and the joy is just gone. You don't force them to keep going just to build resilience. You open the conversation. Is this about pushing through a challenge? Is there something else going on here? Is there a kid bothering you at soccer that's sucking away your joy? Or is it just something that's no longer serving them that maybe they've grown out of? Big conversations with them can really help determine the difference between those things. Knowing when to let them lean into discomfort and when to help them opt out is one of the most powerful things we can teach. So here's another moment of reflection. Ask yourself these questions. Where might I be over functioning in my parenting? What would it look like to do a little less and feel a little more? How can I model working through my own frustration or uncertainty instead of rushing to manage theirs? So, the last component of all of this is why doing less is actually the most loving thing. The beauty of all of this is that doing less can actually be really loving when we can do that for our kids, not because we don't care, but because we trust them. And because we also understand that they are on their own life path, on their own journey. We trust them to handle their emotions. We trust them to navigate challenges. We trust that they are capable, even when it's hard, even when they struggle. When we allow them to feel their feelings without rushing in, We're teaching them how to live in their emotions without being consumed by them. We're teaching them that emotions come, you process them, and then they go. We're showing them that you can feel sad and still be okay, that you can feel overwhelmed and still move forward, that you don't need to escape your feelings to survive them. And the truth is, we don't need to have all the answers. We don't need to fix everything, prevent everything. We just need to show up with love, presence, and belief in their strengths. And here's the final twist. When we stop over functioning for our kids, we also stop over functioning for ourselves. We release this exhausting belief that we must carry everyone's discomfort. We stop managing their emotional experience and we start tending to our own. It's not full detachment, it's deep respect. It says, I love you enough to let you grow in your own way. Here's a couple final reflection questions for you. Ask yourself, where am I doing more than I need to because I'm afraid my child will struggle? What would it look like to trust my child a little more this week? How might doing less actually create more connection, more growth for both of us? Let yourself sit with these questions gently. You're not failing if you've overdone it in the past. You're not late to this work. You're learning what it means to love through presence, not performance. And this is why I share my struggles as an educator, as a parent coach, because it is always about reflecting and growing and learning. And that is one way of teaching growth to your children. So if you're sitting here thinking, okay, I want to stop fixing everything, I want to do less and trust more, but how do I actually do that? You're not alone. Knowing how to step back, honor your child's emotions, give them tools to process frustration, and scaffold their learning at an age appropriate level, while managing your own experience and your own feelings, that is not something most of us were taught. It's not shameful to need help with this. It is normal. Most of us grew up without these tools. We weren't modeled this kind of parenting. And we often have to unlearn so much before we can even begin to do things differently. One of the major things we have to learn is how to have true empathy and compassion for ourselves as we move through parenting. I know I did. I've had tons of support and guidance on this journey, and I still do. And I want you to know that you deserve the same support. If you want to work together one-on-one, you can check the show notes or head to my website to schedule a free introductory session. In that call, we can talk about your parenting goals, explore tools that will be helpful for your unique family. And most importantly, we would make sure that you are supported and cared for so you can show up in the way you want to. You are not meant to do this alone, and you don't have to. I'm so glad you're here. Please tell me how this episode was for you, what you learned, and you are already doing the good work by being here, and I'm cheering you on every step of the way.
Thanks for listening to the Nurture Network. If this episode resonated with you, subscribe so you won't miss the next one. Share it with a fellow mom who might need it too. Until next time, remember that nurturing yourself is the first step in nurturing your family.